Okay, what was your question?
How do you get the passport?
Okay. Download the DS11 form.
And if you already have a password, you have to do the stolen form as well.
No, you really don't. You really don't. You can go to a passport agency. I don't mean the post office. They're a forwarding agency. Go to a passport agency so you can talk to the man that's issuing you the passport, or woman, right? It's actually issued.
Right.
Do your first, number one, do your affidavit to the Secretary of State. Do your affidavit to the Secretary of State.
What does it mean to be an affidavit?
Mine says affidavit of repudiation of citizenship. It tells them all the reasons why I don't want to be a citizen.
So
And
what's the
then
difference of
it's,
repudiation as opposed to expat?
repudiation is a very important word.
Right.
You do never want to expatriate.
Right.
In fact, there's laws that say you can't. Okay? You lose significant status if you expatriate. You don't. In the United States Code, Title 8, Section 1101, it says these are our definitions of statuses. And it lists them all off. And there's lots of them. There's lots of statuses in the United States. You can be a U.S. citizen, or you can be a U.S. national. You can be a state citizen, you can be a state national. On and on and on.
What's the difference between a U.S. national and a state national? Is the difference?
What you want is to be an American state national. If I'm an American state national and I decide in my state that I want to run for office, I become a state citizen while I'm in office. And when I leave office, I become an American state national. Most people don't understand that.
And we're only a citizen after the employees.
These two things are the two things that's required to change statuses. Besides your right of self-determination, you decide what your status wants to be. It's up to you. But this is the two things that are required. The Constitution says we shall be safe in our papers and our protection. What is our papers? If we're operating in private, our passport is our papers. If we're operating in commerce, our state driver's license is our paper. Okay? So these are the two things you need to get. Download your DS11 form, have it sitting on your desk with your computer. Go to Copper Moonshine Stills, left-hand side, it'll say how to be free. Follow the directions exactly. Fill it out. Go collect your passport photos from Costco or wherever you go get them. Get your proof of identity that you have. Take your affidavit of Secretary of State that you've already served, properly served, and judgmented, and recorded, and properly published. Take your stamped copy where you recorded it with the county, like my trust had that thing on it, and take it with you. You don't send it in to them. They don't get a copy.
You take that back.
You walk up to the window, during your appointment time. So what I do, where I live in Bend, Oregon, I'm in like dead center in the middle of the state of Oregon. Where I live in Bend, I have two choices. I can drive to San Francisco or I can drive to Seattle to get my passport. Seattle's closer. So I call up, I get everything together, gather together. I call them up, I make an appointment for 2 days from now. And then I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I jump in my car, and I get into Seattle just in time for lunch. I have lunch, I set my appointment for 1, I go in, I show them my affidavit, and I say, Title 8, Section 1101A21 is my status. Please issue me a passport that reflects that. Thank you very much.
So, but on the,
And that's all you have to say. And you give me your DS-11 that's properly filled out with the 2 pictures of your ID. And he goes back and he does his little research. And then he gives you a slip of paper that says, we're going to issue you a passport to leave. And then 2 days later, you get it in the mail.
on the,
And that's the way it works in Seattle.
on the, identification, is the birth certificate, does it have to be a senior citizen in there then? Not used for TV.
You got to understand, that's a financial document. It doesn't make you a citizen. Nothing makes you a citizen. In fact, under the United States Code, if you claim to be a citizen when you're not, it's a felony. And we all commit that all the time because none of us are born a United States citizen. We're born a state national. And then we accept state citizenship through our own right of determination, which is called lack of knowledge, because we didn't have it. And we accepted that. We checked some box somewhere, and we became, they let you fall into the trap. Yeah. And they do it through propaganda and advertising through kindergarten through 12th grade. You know, little kids on stage 4 scoring 7 years ago.
To follow Copper's step by step, but Copper's in conflict right now. It's been updated for use of social or not use of social. Now it says that it doesn't have any effect on it. It did have an effect on mine very much so. So I mean, if you're without the Social Security, you have.
He pretty much keeps it updated, and he has for 25 years. Yeah, he pretty much keeps it up.
So you think use the social at this point? It's changed because a few years ago he said do not.
Okay, here's the problem. Every Secretary of State makes his own rules.
I see.
Every time we get a regime change in the Secretary of State's office, something different happens. Under John Kerry, he said, I don't want to see any affidavits. You handle everything through the passport office. So you took your affidavit to the passport office, sent it with me. Now, next guy said, you better send us your affidavits. We don't want to see them at the passport office. So they instantly changed the rules. So every time there's a new Secretary of State, they change the rules. He does a pretty good job of keeping up on it. Now, there might be a lag time in there where he's wrong, you know, when somebody first takes office. But that's what happens.
I did my affidavit with the Secretary of State, but I'm sure
This is a little one-page piece of paper. This says certified proof of service. I hereby certify that on this day, the bound attached affidavit was signed for received as attested to by the attached proof of mailing return receipt. If you don't have a return receipt, you got a tracking number or whatever, you just put it right there in that box. Then you sign it, have the witnesses, or you can have it notarized right there. Now you've done your proof of service that they got. They're not going to respond to it, so don't worry about it. But you have to give them the opportunity to respond. They need 21 days legally to respond. So on the 22nd day, you know, make sure, 22nd day, notice of default, certified judgment of unrebutted affidavit. Herein bound attached and so named as, and then you put the name of your affidavit. I hereby certify that on this day, which is on or after the 22nd day following the date of the bound attached certified proof of service that was properly served and dated on this day, I hereby declare by my honor and under my authority as one of we the people and under the laws of the United States of America that in that an affidavit unrebutted in 21 days becomes the judgment. Sign it, a couple witnesses, or you can do a notary juris certificate.
Does this
Email
affect
it to
you?
yourself.
Like that was just little.
If you're married and your spouse doesn't do this,
You do the pages what? Export, you
You
can
can find
choose Word,
You find-
PDF, whatever.
You're not even
does
really
it affect
married,
how-
but yeah,
I mean, does it affect, I don't consider this on there anyway.
Yeah.
you
Yes,
merged
you have to
tax
know about.
documents.
Yeah, you just created an entity that they use to tax you.
That's what I'm wondering, like taxes and stuff.
Sarah? And 3 letters in this area here. What's the 5-2?
My rule of thumb for absolutely everything is, am I asking permission? And if you're asking permission in any way, you're giving them all the power.
Hey, when you say,
You gotta tell.
Secretary of State, you're talking about the federal, not the
Just trying to learn how to
state
tell.
that you're,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, even when you say I request
Hard to write on
you say I
something, but
demand a report.
Oh, he did?
Okay,
yeah, that's just federal secretary of state. Good question.
So-
Sorry, go ahead.
the passport that's there, that's different than the passport that I have right now though.
If you got a U.S. citizen passport,
If you mark the box
Mine-
U.S. citizen,
they're gonna look exactly the same when you get them. Under this secretary,
Mhm.
there's no way to identify
Cause it says
anything
this
on it.
US national or citizen to pass freely.
Because this secretary just said, my rule is, everything's in the barcode.
Hmm.
So that's why her, she's got the 3-star badge, she's probably still good.
Who knows? Everything's in the barcode. If you didn't do this,
I didn't know.
well, you can judgment it now. It says on or after the 22nd day.
You know, as soon as passport agency to show them that it's on.
I take mine to the passport agency. Why? Because it is proof and fact and evidence in writing that I made a determination to change my steps. And in there, that document of mine, it says Title 8, Section 1101, 821 is my status. So they can't issue me another passport that's in anything other than the status I've already claimed. They can't do it. Right? So then there's no question.
Okay, so that's how to get
It's-
that passport in the correct form, is
It's
what
a
you're
matter of
saying.
walking up to
But
the
that's not-
passport
okay.
agent and saying, here's my affidavit. I've already declared my status as Title 8, Section 1101, 821. Please issue me a passport that reflects that.
Okay.
That's simple.
But this is before,
Of course you can.
but this is before you
I can even
actually,
read this affidavit in front of a group without crying. I can. I'm the most patriotic son of a buck you ever meet in my life. You have,
Yeah, sorry. This is 30, or 38.
and this is the section 8.101, that's in the U.S.
every, I send it to the President of the United States, the Secretary of State, which is the only one that's you're required to send it to. But I sent it to the President, I sent it to the Secretary of State, I sent it to the Attorney General of the United States, I sent it to the Secretary of State of the state I was born, and I sent it to the Secretary of State in the state I've chosen to inhabit. And anytime there's a regime change, I change who I send it to and I fire off another one. Because I want them to know what this says. I'm hoping someone in their office will read it and say, you're right, we did all those nasty and crazy and awful things to our own people. We've got to stop this.
I got one back from the Attorney General of the state.
It's just the NP affidavit.
And sent it to the streets. But they sent me that document back saying that they will not accept this as same documents. And our attorney.
You're soliciting document. It's not a solicitation.
You're literally writing law when you do this. You are writing law.
That's right.
It's not a solicitation.
That's right. So anyway, it's an affidavit of truth and an assertory oath. So it's an oath. It's my repudiation and revocation of citizenship. So that's what I'm entitled to. And it's 32 pages. And I'll tell you what, I wrote this document years ago, and one of the attorneys that I met and I worked with was a man called Mel Stamper. And Melvin got a degree, doctorate degree in law, very smart man. And I won him over to our side. And he wrote a book called Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. And if you read chapter, I think it's 2, you're going to see his version of my document. The words are almost the same. He took a few things out that didn't apply to him and he submitted it in his book, publicly published it in his book. Anything publicly published is what? Law.
Now tell me repudiation versus relinquishing.
Relinquish means just to change something, to get rid of it. Repudiation is to justify the reason why. I am hereby rebutting, I'm repudiating it. Okay.
Okay, David?
A really good word to use.
Odious.
Use the word odious in your
I love
documents.
it.
Yeah, look that one up in the dictionary. I'm not
That's
gonna tell you
that's
what it
fun.
is. I want you to look at it. It's a great word to use in your documents.
It's a great word to use when speaking with any of your enemies.
Okay, so to change your status, here's what you do. Now, there's all kinds of other things, so go ahead.
So that's to get to the passport, but like they have their national cards.
No,
How do you
this
do
is
that?
to change your status.
Okay, you change your
this
status,
could
but how do
be
you
a
get the
book.
card?
It's just part of the.
This is a book
Oh,
or
it is?
a card.
So do you actually have the book as
It's like
well?
another $15 or whatever. Yeah, the book.
To get the book?
Yeah.
Okay,
The book
so
has
that is
the
your
national
passport that I saw.
Yeah, you
And
can't
that's-
use it to air travel.
Yeah, the card.
I use it for my everything.
But you use the book to air travel.
Yeah.
Okay,
I use
get
the
it.
book for
Okay.
everything.
So
It's
when
ground
you said
travel to
passport,
Mexico
I
and
didn't.
Canada only for the card.
Okay, I just didn't understand. I thought there was one more step. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Bahamas or any other United States territory on Virgin Islands. So, okay. Yeah, good word to use. No, okay. There's all kinds of other documents. Why do we do other documents? I do a patent and nativity. You know what a patent and nativity is? You ever heard of that? It's my genealogy, showing that my DNA existed on these shores before there was a government. I had a grandfather arrive on these shores in 1607, another in 1609, 7 on the Mayflower in 1620. 7 of my grandfathers were on the Mayflower. Okay. Patent nativity shows legal authority prior to government.
What if you work there?
And it shows all my genealogy going back to the beginning of this nation, before it's founded. So now, I record that with county recorder. If I take that into court, it's a patent. And it's properly published, properly recorded. They try and say otherwise, now they just committed patent infringement. I do a deed of reconveyance, giving them their all caps name. That which one creates, one controls. You created it, you can have it. I don't accept it. You can have it. Why would I want to do a DBA? Why would I want to authenticate a person? Why would I want to do any of that crap? That just proves they created it and it exists. That's all it does. It does nothing for me. Show me one person that's ever authenticated any of that crap and has done anything for them. Prove it. Nobody can prove that to me. I've asked everybody. I've asked hundreds of people on Facebook and the internet, different blogs. Prove that that does anything. Show me the proof that it did anything for you. They can't do it. So I don't do it. I do a patent of nativity. I do a deed of reconveyance.
So on that patent nativity, my family got here prior to World War II, so I was sorry, how does that work for me?
How do you know?
How do I know?
Does your genealogy way back?
No.
I found out that two of my grandmothers, their DNA exists on this country in the 1400s on this soil, because two of my grandmothers were Native Americans. Out of thousands.
I would basically the question to you.
It just.
That's not gonna
It's
ask,
not gonna
yeah.
change.
Here's what it does. It proves your intent. Hey, Judge, how can you stand there and say that I'm in your jurisdiction when I've done this, and this, and this, and this? Does not that prove my intent? Oh, holy crap. He's buried right here when you do that. Right? Intent is very important in law. See, what's this little number right here?
18,035.
That's how many direct grandmothers and grandfathers I've traced back more than 2,000 years. 18,835 direct grandmothers and grandfathers back 2,000.
So how do we do that? Yeah. Like, I mean, I have a family tree that
Start with Ancestry.com.
because I actually do have a family tree on one side.
The hardest period of time to get through is the beginning of our nation, around 1600. Once you get past that, break into the 1400s, your genealogy lines will explode again. So, there's me and my brothers and sisters and my kids, and then my mom and dad, then their mom and dads, then their mom and dads, and we can go generation by generation by generation, pick one, and just keep climbing. Some of them I go 30, 72 generations back. Back past Pompeii, pre-Rome. When the Queen of Helena married the King of Troy. The King and the Queen were one of my grandmothers and grandfathers. So, it's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. It helps you learn history.
Now, how do you find all that? Like, my wife's adopted, so how does she do her genealogy?
Spin.
23andMe and then
And DNA helps.
So basically, she has to do hers through gene.
No, she doesn't have to if she knows, can find out who her parents were. Some people can that are adopted, some can't. But yeah, it's harder for some than others. Okay. And if you get into royal lines, it just explodes. Any other questions? Things you guys need me to cover?
I've heard so many warnings about relinquishing Canadian citizenship and what a quagmire that becomes.
Yes, I would never do that.
Right. That's why I was going to relinquishing versus rather than, civil counts.
To be really careful going through all this process. That's my fear, like you just said, that don't do that. That
Now,
I'll
wait
get
a
to
second.
point where I'll do something that I shouldn't be doing.
You'll be sure about stuff before you turn it in.
I typed
Wait,
the
you
word
just said you've heard
in
many
search
warnings
engine.
about doing the
Just
repudiation of
start looking
citizenship?
at
Relinquishing citizenship.
Relinquish versus repudiation.
What's that?
Which,
No, relinquishing your citizenship. Like, you can't just go say, I'm relinquishing my citizenship, I want out, and you have no recourse.
oh, and not claiming your national status.
Yeah, you're of no state then.
Yeah.
Don't relinquish your citizenship. There's repudiation of it.
My understanding
You
is,
just don't want the citizenship.
yeah, it's like saying I just don't want Social Security.
Yeah.
I was in
No,
Jerusalem.
I wouldn't say that.
You
I
have
just
to
didn't want to
understand
have
and
That's probably why I had mine in the
Right
red.
next to
try to use things against you.
Okay.
Five.
Yeah, the star stuff, I don't
I mean, that's my
It doesn't-
understanding.
it's-
know. That's why.
Or should I say common sense?
Yeah, the stars don't matter anymore, like you
It's
said.
about genealogy.
New Secretary of State.
And he was the king of Jerusalem in 1000 AD. He's buried next to
My
Christ.
thing is, like,
The church
I want to make sure Trump gets it, so it's still prevent.
I was gonna ask, can we vote?
Yeah, you get to
we
learn
need to
all
ask
this
him that.
history.
That's news, huh?
You know, I mean, I-
Well, it's just hard.
everything is down.
How do you learn history? Read letters and journals of people who lived during the time. I spent 2 years in DC in the National Archives, every spare moment.
Did you? So you read between Paine and Franklin and all of those wonderful letters?
Hundreds of thousands of letters.
Awesome.
2 years there, I was there at JAG prosecuting a line commanding officer. And every off hour, which was a lot of off hours, because you go into the courtroom for maybe 2 or 3 hours, 3 times a week.
Did you say prosecuting your commanding officer? All right.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So all my off hours, I was hitting the museums, the National Archives, I was reading those, studying those, learning this stuff. Hours and hours and hours a day. Judge Advocate General's office.
Now they kicked my dad out of the military because he refused to lie to a peon. They wanted him in court to lie, straight out lie about something. So then they kicked him out to do the reserves because he refused to lie on the stand.
Right.
And he could have sued him, but they gave him a whole package to go away, and he took it, so.
Yeah, that's,
He
I did
made a
too.
choice. He made a choice.
I took it. I did very much the same thing.
He was content with the deal that he did.
They
Yeah,
told me to
but
quit
he-
doing what you're doing and come and work at JAG because you're good at it.
It's kind
Or
of
go
wrong.
home.
I had a question on the
Uh-huh.
repudiation. Does that would prevent you from being able to vote in a presidential election?
Can we vote as
Well,
nationals?
Yeah. The
Thank
government's your help.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Well,
No,
we're asking.
whatever. You rescind your voter card.
Identification card.
Rescind it. Because once you become a we the people, and you have limited diplomatic immunity under the Geneva Conventions as one who created government, not one created by government, then you are eligible for the electoral status.
Influence elections, don't vote for them.
I was gonna say, are you, now you're 10 people, your vote is worth 10. No.
I rescind.
Wow.
So you rescind your voter card, you send an affidavit of electoral status to your Secretary of State, and you get them to certify that. Then you can walk into any voting booth with that letter, and your vote counts as 10 votes.
Are you? Wait a second, I just made that up. What do you mean 10 votes?
Your electoral, it's really four
So-
votes. Your,
I've never registered to vote, but I don't have to rescind anything then at that point.
no, you've never registered, you
Never
don't.
registered.
Some people register when they get their driver's license and don't even know they registered.
I have always said no because they ask me.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
stuff I
I
make.
told them
Well,
no.
then now can
Yeah.
you
Tell
vote?
them no, they can't.
They got a lot of sneaky ways to get you.
And
I
she
would
vote?
use not line now, you can rescind it, cancel it online, just I'm telling you, I'm not doing that. Yeah, there's no like over receipt for it.
So revocation of election, elector status change, I got all kinds of, there's my document
Can we
to
have to?
change my electoral status. So,
You send that in, they will certify it and send it back to you?
canceled my voter registration under the registered mail account number, and I told them my status, told them I was got electoral status.
So then you bring that certification to any voter thing and they have to
Walk
let
in
you,
with your
that
letter.
along with your your passport.
Walk in with your letter, and it's 1 to 4.
Because that's the rules that they set up.
Here are we the people, one who created you. You elect your representatives. Only citizens vote. Vote for their representatives. There's a big difference between elect and vote.
It's your company. Tell them how to
Exactly.
run it.
I hired the employees.
Correct.
Did you send that?
And you're right, if these people are all sheep under the company, then their votes aren't worth anything.
So yeah. All these little things you can do. Gosh, go to court, take
Hey,
your
we need to go to all the
electoral letter.
churches with this.
Hey Judge, how can you presume and assume I'm a citizen or personal resident when I have electoral status?
That's as much of an Occam's razor as the passport is, honestly. Doing that tonight.
So on and on and on. There's all kinds of things you can do to show your intent. Heck, Anna Von Rice has a whole list of things, except for some reason, she misses these two things that's required. And that's always bothered me about it. Everything else, I love her to death.
Yeah, we can, there's a lot of haters though, I don't understand the vitriol.
Well, you know, every once in a while, she'll do 100 good letters in a row, and then every once in a while, she goes way off the deep end. Okay? I rate everybody by percentages, of course. The only person that's 100% is good. Okay? Everybody else makes mistakes. I make mistakes. I look at myself, I don't know, somewhere around the 80, 90%. I hate to even rate myself. And I rate her as an 80%, because every once in a while she goes off the deep end. Okay, and it's just out there, and she doesn't do simple things that are actually required to do. She'll do all this stuff, and then some, but she won't do two things that you're required to do.
Okay, this is all great, now you have it, what do you do with it? Can you establish, outside?
You can go fishing. See, once you have it, you can go fishing. Once you have it, you're truly free. I don't even get a fishing license.
Oh my
If
gosh,
I want
he's
to go
really-
fishing, I go fishing. I can do all the substance fishing I want. I can feed my family anytime I want to feed my family.
Not all debts are paid.
Hunting license? Hunting license?
Same
You
way.
can go out and get a deer
Oh, I'll take
anytime
2
you
deer a
want.
year, I'll take
Yeah.
2 deer a year. That's what it takes to
So
feed my
when the
family.
DNR comes and shows up and you just show them your,
Go ahead, write me a ticket.
yeah, because I'm gonna.
I don't need to deal with you. Write me a ticket.
But owning a gun.
I'll deal
That's
with
your
it in
natural
court.
right.
That's your natural.
Your offer to
Again,
contract is
assessing.
not accepted.
Right.
Here's my status, here's my electoral status, here's this, here's that. Oh, okay. Never hear from them again. I don't care if a police officer writes me a ticket.
Okay, someone said that they're sending now DNR agents in with these CPS people
By
to,
team, by rocket
because they don't
launchers,
have to
by
go
whatever.
in, DNR doesn't need a warrant. So they're sending
I
DNR in to go in to get these kids. I'm like,
Do not resuscitate.
like,
What's
why?
DNR?
What are they gonna say? Like, that I'm like poaching
Use
in
your
my house
passport
overnight,
once
you
get
know?
the passport.
But that's what they're
What's
doing, that's what they've
DNR?
lowered
Getting
themselves
right
now. I know, DNR to these city people.
By blind
What is
market like
DNR?
Yeah,
it's
resuscitate, exactly.
Right.
But that's pretty low.
I'm sure I got one laying around in the car somewhere.
Someone's mixed the file.
Yeah, that's
Like that. Address.
Presumption, assumption, tacit agreement, hearsay. They lead you down a path to a predetermined outcome or conclusion. It's called railroad. The word railroad in Black's Law Dictionary says to lead someone down a narrow path of rail to a predetermined outcome or conclusion. Presumption, assumption, tacit agreement, and hearsay. This is how our judicial system works. Those are the 4 most important words in the law today. This is how they screw you. When you know how they screw you, you can figure out how to get out. You rebut their presumptions, you rebut their assumptions, you remove your tacit agreement, and you call for truth, fact, and first-hand witnesses, and intent.
That's what I want to do.
It's really simple. When you know the basics of law, which is what I'm trying to teach you, and the only way I know how, I'm trying to, for 20 years I made this complicated. Nobody was listening. For 10 years I started to make it simpler and simpler and simpler, and then people started listening. See? Because it's got to be simple. One day I wrote this down on a piece of paper. I wrote presumption, I wrote assumption, I wrote tacit agreement, I wrote hearsay. And somebody in the audience that was smarter than me looked at it and says, that's how they lead you down the path.
Oh my God.
Path! Why didn't I write that first? Yeah. Yeah,
That's it.
right? So, your job is to show and ask questions to prove intent. You had no intent to commit a crime, never. If you don't have an intent, there's no crime. This case is hereby dismissed.
That's why they want me to ask questions.
Right. So they use presumption, assumption, tacit agreement, and hearsay of your agreement of your status, standing, and jurisdiction. The 3 most important things in law that have to be established before a case can begin.
So what we're establishing.
Have you ever heard the term, all persons are equal in the law, rich or poor, black or white, doesn't matter? It's because you're all dead. You all have the same, a dead deer on the side of the road can't get up. He has no standing. You all have equal standing because you're all dead. But when a man walks in the room with his proper status, I'm the only one in the room with standing, Your Honor. You operate in the realm of the dead. You summoned. You did the same, performed the seance. You're wearing the black robe. All right. Yeah, exactly. See,
you were
Okay,
me, would you chase this passport thing again and do it anew with the affidavit, or leave it the way I have it and just submit the affidavit and finish up the second step?
Submit your affidavit. Go ahead.
so when you're not following into their bear traps in the courtroom, of course, because I haven't established my standing yet, lawfully, I'm working on it. But if I have to go into court first, my question was going to be, because you can't stand for the judge.
Your standing is Genesis.
Well, the point is when she
2,
walks in
7.
and I don't stand, they're either gonna kick me out, or I just decided I wasn't gonna be in there when she comes in, then I don't have to worry about that.
This is the law, the superior law of your standing. Right there.
Okay,
It says, "And I, God, created man from the dust of the earth, and I breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." Living soul can't even die. Body can die, returns to the earth as dust again. Soul lives on forever.
but
I'll
you
tell
still,
you a funny story. I was in England, and Upper England, out in the countryside, I saw this big castle. There was a little sign that said daily tours, 1 to 3. I said, it's 1:30. I drove up. I wanted to go get a closer look at this castle. It looked pretty unique. I walked up. Guy comes over, answers the door. He answers the door, and he looks at me, and he faints. He falls over and he faints and he hits the ground. I'm feeling bad. And he's fainted. So I open the door, I walk in, I say, "Hey, is anybody here? This guy just fainted. Needs help." 3, 4 people come. They take a look at me. One guy backed up against the wall just like that. I said, "I got POs. What the heck's wrong?" These guys are like backing away from me. And one of them goes, "Are you here to claim the castle?" I said, "What?" He says, "Are you here to claim the castle?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he turns around, he points to a picture up on the wall that was painted in the 1200s of you, of me, in 1200 garden. Wow. It turned out that castle was owned by one of my grandfathers, and I looked just exactly like it. But the guy literally fainted.
So did you claim the castle?
Huh?
Did you claim the castle?
But I freaked out a little bit.
Think he'd be here today?
Because I'll tell you what, if I would have hired a painter, sat down for 2 weeks while he painted it, it would
Do you have a
have
picture of
looked
it?
just like that.
So if they asked you that, then they're waiting for someone to come claim the castle. Are you sure you weren't supposed to?
No, I'm not sure of anything. I mean, this was 2003. I didn't even know half of what I knew.
Well, obviously they
And
were
I'd already
expecting
been studying
someone to
since
come
89.
claim it.
Just like the more you learn, the less you know. Right?
Ah,
Yeah, your profession, huh? It's like you're always discovering stuff. Anyway, yeah, funny story. These are the little things. This is 1 + 1 in mathematics. Okay? I'm trying to show you that it doesn't take a lot to win cases. You don't have to know every law book there is and all of that. You don't. But you do have to know your status, standing, and jurisdiction. You got to know what they're doing to you. They're leading you down a path. You got to believe that they're not authority. You've got to put the burden of proof back on them. You've got to ask them the questions that they can't answer. Once you stumble, they can't answer the questions, they can't out-debate you, it's over with. You've won. And you can win every case if you just know this little bit. See? It all comes out of the Bible, really. main knowledge of all this comes out of the Bible. So. Intent is very, very, and the judges run right through a trial, run right through you, put you in jail, you'll be there 10 years. And you'll wake up one day and say, gosh, I never intended to commit a crime. And here you are. You put yourself there because you never brought up intent in court. You always bring up intent. You always bring up due process of law, first-hand witnesses. What is a war rant? I wrote this down yesterday. A war rant. It's an act of war. What makes it a lawful warrant? 9 times out of, I'd say 99 times out of 100, they don't have a legal warrant. You can pull a cigarette lighter out of your pocket and light their warrant on fire right in front of them, sit down on the thing, walk back in your house.
What was it, how is it
How is it a legal warrant? There's no wedding signature from a judge. There's no raised seal from an Article 3 court. There's no claim or affidavit or first-hand testimony sworn under the oath of the penalty of perjury backing up the warrant. Half the time the warrant doesn't show the exact place to be searched and item to be seized. They're general warrants. They gotta say, we know you have a firearm that's illegal and it is in your bedroom. And that's where they get to go look. They don't go look in your kitchen. They get to go to your bedroom if they've got all that sworn affidavit and everything is a proper warrant.
What are you referencing here? Because I know that's what consists of a warrant, but what do you say, no, look it up here? Where is the here to look this up?
Constitution.
Constitution.
So just have a copy of the Constitution on the whole thing? It used to.
They don't have anything. They have no authority. They're a private for-profit business. An entity pretending and acting as government. They're de facto. You could hear that 100 times. I've said it lots and lots of times. I've said it to people individually on the phone 20, 30 times. Then one day they call me and say, David, you're right. I looked this up. These guys are all private for-profit businesses. Dave Jose was one. He had no idea. I said, why don't you do, I'll give you an assignment, Dave. Go around to all the courthouses in Mariposa County and find me an actual court of record. Dave and Sergio drove around all day to all the different courthouses, and at, I think it's 201 East Jefferson Street, he found an actual court of record.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could you please tell me the difference between the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution
Yeah.
for the United States?
Yeah. One was written for the corporations in 1789, and the other was written for the corporation in 1871.
What changed?
The corporation.
Right, but what verbiage changed?
Of
That's it.
and for, and then they added some amendments.
Okay.
The first Constitution had 13 amendments.
Who added the amendments?
That was the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah.
You were talking constitutions. The first Constitution had 13 amendments.
Oh,
The first 10 are little rings.
The second one, which is that one,
that's all.
has all.
14th citizen tract and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
In that one, the 13th Amendment is not the 13th Amendment that was in the first one. In this one, the 13th Amendment freed the black slaves, and the 14th Amendment made all the slaves. Okay. Abe Lincoln said, I would never have freed the slaves if it hadn't been up to me. And he wasn't talking about the color of their skin.
Yeah, like whitelisted has nothing to do with, it's a status, not a color. Yeah.
So, what is the fifth most important word in the law? It's another P. Previously. Previously. So when you do your affidavit of repudiation and your deed of reconveyance, your patent and activity, and any other documents you want to do that happens to show your intent, and you've done them previously to a court case, anything previously done in the law is a settled matter. Now you can say, Judge, this has already been adjudicated. You can't do anything about this. It's a previously settled matter. It's how you throw bear traps back on them. Because in their path, they throw, it's full of bear traps and landmines and hand grenades for you to step in. So previously. Doc here told me something pretty cool yesterday. He says, body reacts to truth. Our energy reacts to truth. Might not be exactly what he said, but universal truth. Yeah. And he proved it to you. And he's absolutely right. Their process, they have a motto that says, no fact or truth shall be tried in court. I've been saying that over and over again. They don't need the facts. They don't need the truth. They don't need first-hand evidence. They don't need first-hand witnesses. They don't even need a proper warrant. Because they get your consent, your tacit agreement. Then they use hearsay to convict you. They presume and assume you don't do anything about it, and you acquiesce. I'm going to spell that out because I don't know how to. That's right. You acquiesce. You accept. If you don't rebut, you accept. So everything else is objection. You object to every word that comes out of the prosecutor's mouth. That's a lie.
You
Because
just
it
say
is.
objection hearsay?
So when they ask why, what your reason for objection is, just say hearsay?
Sure.
If you don't know
It's a
the
lie.
law.
Where's the first-hand witness?
Understand.
Where's the intent to commit a crime? Look at what I've done previously. Okay? If somebody does nothing, it's like the story I told yesterday of the kid who was held against the wall until he was choked out with a gun. All that attorney did is objected to everything the prosecutor said. The jury deliberated for just a couple of minutes and found him innocent of all charges. Because the state did not prove the case, Your Honor. That's what the jury master said. Didn't prove the case because every word that came out of the prosecutor's mouth was objected to on the record.
But what if it was overruled?
Yeah, but the judge can either allow it or not allow it. So, the judge
Now,
is sort
if
of.
it's objected to properly, the judge allows it.
No, not if the judge doesn't feel like it, not if it's not a
If it-
proper judge.
If
Well, then
it-
that's when you hold them
In
to the higher
family court,
when there's a
Yeah.
jury,
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's different. Okay.
okay, math lesson's over. Those are pretty much all the basics you'll ever need to win any case. It's done. So don't think it's that complicated. When you get into the complicated details of your case, you'll probably lose. Doesn't matter. Dog bites the neighbor, neighbor sues the dog owner, it's a dog bite, claims life-threatening injuries.
How that happens is somebody.
Hold on, let's listen to what he has to say. Hold on, I want.
Just has a scratch on her ankle, up walking in 2 days in shorts, jogging down to her mailbox. Life-threatening injuries, huh?
She had a chunk.
Yeah, go to the pound. There's she runs across the parking lot while the police put the dog down at the pound. Life-threatening injuries, huh? How long was she in the emergency room? 4 hours, because that's what it takes for the common cold to get her in an emergency room, right? You walk in there with anything, it takes 4 hours. Standard operating procedure, 4 hours. Okay? This is an actual case that I saw happen to one of my neighbors. And she sued, and she won for $121,000.
Because they killed her dog, or the person that got bit.
The person that got bit sued the owner, got $121,000 from my neighbor. And then I started teaching my neighbor the law. And she went back and avoided the whole thing and got the money back.
Isn't that where the insurance company kicks in, pays it, and then ups your insurance or cancels you? Is that what happened?
She got the money back.
For the insurance company, so that she didn't get a nick on her insurance?
So
She
they
didn't
can't
care, she
sue.
didn't get a nick on her
Just about
insurance, it was the principle of the matter. Okay? Actually,
Awesome.
she allowed $5,000 for her scratch on her ankle.
Gave him a little bit.
Wow,
That's awesome. That's powerful stuff.
So anyway, all kinds of things can happen, but if you know just the very, very basics, you can win over and over and over again. You can lose if you let them run over the top of you.
But again, this is after,
You've already sent some stuff to the court.
you're already in court at this point, so you've already played. You're already part of the game at that point. You're really. You're not mercy.
You send your notice of appearance in. You're there by special appearance. You have the accepted jurisdiction. That's what special appearance means.
That's right.
Okay? General appearance, you have accepted jurisdiction. Special appearance, you have none.
Circumventing arrangement.
Right.
Okay, got it.
If you just ignore it all and you don't go, they're going to put a war rant out for you. They're going to declare war. They're going to come in with guns. They're going to pick you up and throw you in a box with brown walls and bars.
Yeah, what was the point did you just say? Just to circumvent this arrangement, what letter were you talking? Or to create the special appearance?
Notice of appearance is the first document you ever filed. An error of coram nobis says, hey, court, you're making a critical error here. You sent this to some entity that's not me. You're a foreign court, foreign jurisdiction.